Pick a card. How do people describe you to strangers? Here are your options, and I'll see you at your reading. Hi friends, my name is Griselle with Toughdolltarot, and I'm here to do your reading. Pile number 1, you chose this lovely image on the right-hand side of your screen. And your downloads go as follows. How do people describe you to strangers? Pile number 1, people describe you to strangers as being someone who's quite mysterious, but most of all, the word I keep hearing is intense. What they would say about pile number 1 is that you're incredibly intense, you're hard to look away from, you're very riveting, and people wonder, is it something that they're going to want to dodge? Is that intensity laser focused on you? Or is it something that you want to join forces with and focus with? So a little bit of an interesting perspective there. We're going to gain more information. I'm going to go ahead and do the shuffle, pile number 1, and 3, 2, 1. Welcome, welcome. Pile number 1. How do people describe you to strangers? Pile number 1, you have the 2 of Pentacles. You have the 7 of Wands. You have the 9 of Pentacles. Shouldn't be surprising, I guess, right? And you have the Magician. Le Mission. I'm going to go ahead and pull one more out because I want to balance these. Let's go with this one here. And you have the Queen of Pentacles. So pile number 1, right off the bat, I'm looking at the 2 of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. And people are basically describing you to anyone who questions, right? Who's curious about you. Let's get in here. And they're going to describe you as somebody who has multiple things going on. You have 2 things, at least 2 things going on at any one time, while other people are taking a break, chilling with friends and family, while they are just kind of meandering aimlessly at times, seemingly. Not you. You have things going on. You might be juggling 2 jobs. You might be juggling 2 people. I don't know your life, right? And keep in mind, pile number 1, that I do read optimistically for the masses. So you're going to go ahead and take what really resonates with you and leave the rest. Another point to consider, pile number 1, is that this is simply someone else's perspective and what they would say regarding you. Now, we know a lot of people aren't necessarily truthful or even observant. Pile number 1, I feel like people would describe you as somebody who is abundant, okay? So you are definitely abundant. I feel like even bunnies, bunnies are abundant, but you're an observer. You're not an absorber. You are somebody who's going to really observe what is going on, I'm hearing the path of least resistance. I feel like you are learning how to work wiser, not hard. Like work smarter, not harder. Be wise about things. And that children and people that are vulnerable, people in bad situations, like people really feel comfortable coming to you with their problems, with their issues. You have a lot of trust. You have trust in the community. People just automatically trust you. And pile number 1, I would say that people describe you as being someone who's well adapted, well adjusted, and really somebody who puts other people first, okay? So I definitely feel like those people that really know you are going to tell strangers, perfect strangers, that you are somebody who looks out for everyone else, that you're not simply here for yourself, for your own prosperity and your own wealth. You really care about the well-being of others. Pile number one, I also feel like they would mention that you are probably very altruistic. Is that how you say it? Pronounce it? You're benevolent. You're a caretaker, but you're also incredibly wise. I feel, pile number one, that they would mention that you are somebody who, yeah, you might volunteer at the soup kitchens, or you might have people over, or if somebody's having a hard time, you might really extend yourself. But also, I feel, pile number one, that you are somebody who could be described as knowing how to turn a dime in order to provide. It's almost like your money works for you. That's how they would describe you. It's almost like whatever you do, it's going to a byproduct of that doing is going to have a financial benefit to it. It's like you attract money. For example, if you do happen to be working at a soup kitchen, you might wear like your work shirt or your business shirt. And that could be, you know, that might be a bad idea, but you get the point, right? So if you're doing like volunteer services for any part of the community, you might wear like a shirt that says, you know, call whatever for this kind of a service. And so you are known to being very homegrown, very salt of the earth, very pragmatic in how you handle things. And people love this about you. Pile number one, I feel like also they would mention that the way that you juggle things appears very seamless. It is very, I want to say orchestrated, but it could appear very like natural, very fluid, instead of like very robotic and very stop, go. So you're very fluid in how you do things, how you manage things. Also, I feel like something about your movements could be very fluid. And perhaps, pile number one, it could be said about you that you are someone who likes to enjoy like banter, especially at the workplace or while you work. You would be that person who would be a little bit like whistle while you work, da, 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 you know. And maybe perhaps, pile number one, you guys are people that are known for your love of Disney, or maybe like childhood books and so on. Pile number one, I'm gonna say also that how people would describe you to strangers. It's the Seven of Wands. Now, I'm looking at all of the crocodiles, alligators. I've read up on it, you guys. I still can't figure out. I have to look at each and every one of them to identify. So don't take my word for it. Crocodiles or alligators, whatevs. I'm just going to say that there's 7 of them coming for you. And there's only one Big Daddy, right? So I feel like you could be described as someone who is well equipped to defend themselves. Like, you don't look after no mess, but if mess comes for you, you're well equipped. You're going to handle it. You're going to deal with it. You will take care of business. Pile number one, you could be known as someone or described as someone who maybe perhaps had a lot of fight in them when they were younger, if you're on the older spectrum of things, right? Like maybe perhaps you lived a life where maybe you were like in gangs, or you lived in a bad part of town. You had to learn how to take care of yourself. Or like maybe perhaps you're like myself, like you were a single parent and you had to learn how to really defend a family just in case something were to happen. What is your plan for 7 minutes? Most people say they're going to dial 911. And my response is, okay, but until the heroes come to rescue, what is your plan? Because a lot can happen within that 5 to 7 minutes, whatever the response time is. So pile number one, I feel like people describe you to strangers as somebody that if they want to take you down, they have to pack their lunch and bring their siblings and bring their ancestors and bring their nana and tata and mom and dad as well. Also, something about negative space. You could be, I don't know, I feel like pile number one, they would say that you are highly pedestaled, but that also people want to compete with you. Like all these little Crocs, maybe you wear Crocs, I don't know. But all of these little crocodiles or alligators, do forgive once again, are really coming at them systemically, kind of like systematically, I guess I should say. And they're going to come collectively. They're not going to go one at a time because, you know, I mean, this one is like going to by far outsmart and outmaneuver. Now, with the Nine of Pentacles, I feel like this has a lot to do also, pile number one, with your work, with your monetary value, how you earn an income. So I feel like income is referenced quite a bit over and over again. And pile number one, I feel like how people would describe you to strangers is that you are somebody that, again, people want to compete with. Even if you're doing your own thing, this one's chilling on land, everybody else is in the water. Do you need to mess with the big one? Probably not, but are they gonna? Probably so. So I feel like pile number one, you could be described as someone who is, oh my gosh, do I have to reference that? Okay, what's being brought to mind right now is the latest Mike Tyson fight, okay? Now, I personally feel like that was ridiculously rigged. I don't feel like that guy had, yeah, I just feel like that was just ridiculous. That's my own personal opinion. Regardless of what I think about it, I'm just going to say that it felt a little bit like that. When people are describing you, they're like, wait, this dude is going to go up against Mike Tyson? Like, please, you know? And all of the training he does and how, I don't know, he's pretty wild. So we all know what happened with that last fight, quote unquote. I feel like it was just stage play, kind of like wrestling, how they do as well. But again, my opinion. Now, yeah, I feel like it's the same thing. Like if you want to come for a pile, number one, you better get a contract. You better get you a lot of people backing you. You better get you Netflix and whomever is going to back this so that they can make a lot of money, because it just won't go well for the other party. And that's why people, pile number one, tend to team up against you. Pile number one, also that you are someone who is completely okay with being by yourself. That perhaps, pile number one, they're going to describe you as somebody who likes a lot of alone time, that you tend to hibernate. Maybe something about you being very soft, that you have soft, supple skin, that you are very pettable. I know this is like random coming through, but this is, you know, if people are describing you as, let's say, in a romantic way to another person, then they would be like, oh my gosh, like pile number one, they have incredibly supple skin and I just want to touch his or her hair, or, you know, whatever. Or they could be remarking about your nails. Maybe you have impeccable nails. Maybe you have the latest nail trends going on. And you're the one telling your nail tech how to do things and showing them pictures. So yeah, something about being very stylish could be a presence. Also something about moving very sleek. We talked about that. Now this right here, for some reason, is starting to look to me a little bit like a foot. Like this would be the heel and the foot right here. So something about like the way that you move, your footwork, the way, something about your feet. Maybe they would describe you as having nice feet. That's kind of random as well. Pile number one, I hope they're not describing that to like strangers, but why should they be talking about your feet? Anyways, moving on. Pile number one, you have the Magician right here. And I'm going to say that, let's get in here closer because it's such a beautiful card. Pile number one, people would describe you to strangers as being somebody who has all of the skill, all of the knowledge, and you're in pursuit of what? You're in pursuit of luxury. You're in pursuit of your financial stability, of growth. And yes, but it is not exclusive to those things. Pile number one, I feel like people that know you deeply know that you really come with intentions on bettering the world in whatever shape and form that you can do things. But I also feel, pile number one, that they would describe you to strangers as being someone who is very misunderstood. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull two more cards out of this awesome beaten up deck. Don't judge it. Pile number one, if you're liking this kind of reading, do give me like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you turn on that notification bell if you want to see further readings. Pile number one, how would people describe you to a stranger? How do they describe you to strangers, please? Let's take one more out of here. This is just the coolest deck. If you guys are readers, do yourself a favor. by this deck. It's one of my all-time favorites. I know I keep saying that about all my decks. Not all of them, but some of them. All right, so how would they describe you to a stranger? Six of Cups right here is like somebody that they miss, somebody that you want to have around. It's almost like they get around your energy, and the very next thing that they know, they're missing you because you're busy. You got things to do, people to take care of, work to take care of, whatever it is that you are juggling. And you may appear like constantly on the move, or like it's in between being constantly on the move or self-care. And I feel like pile number one, that you are someone that the minute that you leave people's presence, they miss you. They miss you radically. And I feel like you could draw people also that are incredibly different than you. As we see, we have this zombie boy right here. And the little girl is just cuddling with the zombie boy, and he's just perfectly happy just to chill with her right there until he gets hungry, of course. So pile number one, we have the Fool. Now hang in there with me, because in the Tarot, as most of you guys know, the Tarot speaks about the Fool is simply taking a chance. And pile number one, I feel like a lot of people would describe you to a stranger in particular as someone that they would want to take a chance with. They want to go through whatever it is, navigate. They want to look their best. They want to smell good. They want to bring offerings. They want to make sure that you feel comfortable, that you can have a gift that serves to like beautify your world, whether it's a little wreath for your door, or in this case, a graveyard. Maybe he's going to meet with, you know, a zombie. We don't know. But pile number one, I feel like they would describe you to a stranger as being somebody who's incredibly efficient, because I'm looking at the vulture right behind this person as well. So something about you being efficient, like you let nothing go to waste, okay? This is like even making earrings or jewelry out of bones once the vulture is done with it. So you have a very keen eye. I feel like you look for a lot of things, a lot of signs from Mother Nature and Mother Earth as well. And again, I feel like you clean up incredibly well. You could be very pleasant to look at. So that is what I have for you. Pile number one, let me know what you think about this reading. Much, much love to you. Until next time, namaste. Hi friends, my name is Gracelle with Toughdolltarot, and I'm here to do your reading. Pile number two. You chose this lovely image on the right-hand side of the screen. And your downloads go as follows. Pile number two, how would they describe you to a stranger? So if anybody just wanted to talk about you, chat about you, they would describe you as being somebody who's a bit unconventional, very modern, somebody who perhaps wears unique pieces of clothing, jewelry, or attire. Somebody who maybe even has little kitty ears for headphones. That could be a thing as well. But someone who is also very agile, very playful, maybe into like anime or dressing up or role play, maybe playing D&D, or they could be a furry. I mean, I don't know your life, but keep in mind, once again, that these are simply opinions and ideas from other people's perspective. And this is what they would bring up to a perfect stranger, or at least a stranger to you. So pile number two, I'm going to go ahead and do the shuffle in 3, 2, 1. Hi pile two, welcome to my channel. Super excited you guys are here. Thank you so much. So pile number two, how would people describe you to a stranger? Pile number two, you have the 4 of Pentacles. And you have the 7 of Pentacles. Ooh. Juicy. Okay, we're going to stop right here. Pile number two, I'm going to say right off the bat with these 2 cards right here, And keep in mind, these are other people's perspective. People would describe you as being somebody who is really not giving much up, okay? I feel like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you are very, very careful. You're always on alert. You listen to what goes on around you. You could be somebody who moves pretty stealthily through life, and you're always watching for what to be aware of, like what could potentially be of danger. Now, pile number 2, it could also be said about you that what they would say to a perfect stranger, how they would describe you, is that maybe perhaps you have PTSD, or that you are hyper alert, hyper vigilant, and people are puzzled by it. They may not know the reason why, but the truth of the matter is that you absolutely have reasons why, and maybe it's none of their business, okay? So perhaps people don't even know like why you're necessarily like this, but they just know that you're like very vigilant and you observe everything and you're really hyper aware. Also, yeah, that you keep things quite hidden, that you are abundant, but that you're very careful with what you spend your money on or your time on or attention, or potentially pile number 2, all 3 of those, right? So pile number 2, we have the 7 of Pentacles right here, and I'm looking at all of these like spider webs, and these are so interesting to me because, you know, the spider really works really hard to create these intricate webs, right? And right in the center of the webs, we have pentacles, and I'm just going to say pile number 2, what could be said about you is that you are a very diligent worker. You are very detail oriented. You are a very hard worker. By the same token, pile number 2, that you are once again being an observer, right? You can observe whether this effort, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the toil, the sweat off your brow, whatever you want to call it, if it's going to really benefit you, if there's going to be a reward for the investment of your time, your energy, your effort, right? You're not going to put forward any more than anyone else. Pile number 2, what they would say to a stranger, what people would say to a stranger, and how you would be described to a stranger is that you are really good about matching energy. That is one thing that is coming out loud and clear. Now, if it is evident that you're putting in a lot more effort, you will pull back and you will judge and balance accordingly. I think that's pretty cool, actually. Pile number 2, you have the 8 of Pentacles and you have the 8 of Wands. What? How cool is that? So we definitely have 2 8s. And again, this is to me like an indication of abundance, a focus on abundance. And abundance can be a wealth of friendships. It could be, yes, what's in your bank account. It could be, yes, what your house is, you know, worth. It could be also any of your assets, your 401k, you know, your coin, basically. But also pile number 2, how they would describe you to a stranger is someone that toils long and hard into the night and that gets really fast results. It seems like you're a great manifester. You're very diligent and you're not necessarily worried about what other people are doing. You're the busy little bee in this case. And pile number 2, they would also say that you have a great way of like minding your own business and magnetically attracting what you need, which is really powerful. I'm looking at this bird right here. This bird is intent. And potentially, maybe the bird is after this like near invisible snake, right? Or maybe it doesn't see it. I don't know what's going on here. But I'm going to say that pile number 2, they would describe you as somebody who's always making changes, making moves. The number 444 right now on my camera could really mean something to someone out there. It's a special number for me, so maybe it is for thee as well. So pile number 2, I feel like you would be described, how would a person describe you to a stranger would be that you are very diligent, that maybe sometimes you're quick to strike, you're slow to move, slow to put in your own investment or elbow grease. You want to make sure that that energy is matched for sure, but that things just sure pop for you, that even if you're not looking, things come to you naturally. So this could be business, it could be money, it could be praise. Also travel. I feel like people, this is odd, but they would say about you that you're so magnetic that people travel quite often to see you. Or it's almost like you're just engulfed or really focused on work or whatever this is. It could be a love project, right? A passion project, a love project. I think you get the point though. Pile number 2, that you're so focused on one thing that people know that in order to spend time with you, they would need to come see you. So that kind of a vibe, right? So pile number 2, if you are indeed liking these kind of readings, do give me a like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell for further videos so that you're actually notified when I drop new videos. Pile number 2, how would people describe you to a stranger? We have the 7 of hazards. Is that not interesting? We have repetition for your pile. We have 2 7s on the board. We've got 2 8s right here. And pile number 2, you have the Queen of Hazards, which is the Queen of Pentacles. And she is incredibly lovely. I love these cards so hard. So pile number 2, I'm going to say that, yeah, okay. Pile number 2, I'm sorry. I'm just like observing her arms right here or lack thereof. And she's actually like, you would think she would be chained to this, but apparently she's not. So something has changed. Anyways, pile number 2, how they would describe you to a stranger is that you are very, again, effortless. Like things come to you effortlessly, whether it's benefits, money, people, literally people could just fly out, drive out to see you. That you're always incredibly well manicured, even though she doesn't have hands here. Incredibly well dressed. That maybe perhaps you have a panache for style. El estilo. Le gusta el estilo. We like the hat as well. And maybe perhaps that you like unusual makeup. That you like maybe a little bit more of a gothic-y vibe or grunge vibe. With the 7 hazards right here. Look how different these are. It's literally the same card, but not. Literally same card, but totally different. Pile number 2. I'm going to say that you would be described to a stranger as being someone who really does something unusual for work. And maybe you're very strategic. And maybe perhaps you're very scientific. And maybe, just maybe, perhaps you have a formula. You have a formula for the secret sauce, and then you're going to watch it grow. And if it doesn't grow, you're going to tailor it, curtailor it. You're going to rearrange it. You're going to reformulate it. You're going to study it once again and relaunch and see what happens. So pile number 2, what they would say, how they would describe you to a stranger is that maybe perhaps you're a little bit obsessive, or you could be neurospicy, like neurodivergent. And yeah, you could definitely be somebody who just really laser focuses on one thing. So, and that's not a bad thing at all. I feel like we all have, you know, our own gifts and talents. So what else do we have? That went by pretty darn quick. Pile number 2. Let's just pull some cards because we have time. How would people describe you to a stranger? How would people describe pile number 2? Let's see what, oh, the 9 of Cups. What? Are you the wish fulfillment? Yeah, you are. Pile number 2, you are definitely a wish fulfillment. How she is all cozy, presumably maybe like in the basement or something, or in her home, who knows? And she's got her ammo, and she's got her little, you know, not a little, but she's got a rifle going on there. She's well equipped. She knows what's up. Like, everybody knows what time it is with you. Pile number 2, I just got a rush of energy. So I feel like you are somebody who is well known to be able to take care of yourself. Now, your wish fulfillment, pile number 2, because I feel like they would describe you as somebody who doesn't necessarily need anyone or anything, because you yourself are a wish fulfillment, that you yourself are really busy attracting and magnetizing things to come to you, that you don't waste a lot of time or energy or effort looking into things that just don't become you, that don't behoove you, and that are not for you. Okay. And so we love that for you. With the 9 of Cups, this just tells me that people would describe you as somebody, maybe you took like self-defense classes, maybe you took a couple of, I don't know, gun classes, maybe you belong to a gun club. That could be a thing as well. And that maybe some of you guys are like travel agents, or you work for the airlines in whatever capacity. So there's a lot going on right here. But yeah, you're definitely going places. Like, even if this could be like metaphorically going places, you have a lot going for you. And there's an element of being in awe of you, by the way, because, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot going on. Let's just pull another card right here. Pile number 2, how would people describe you to a stranger? Show me now. Oh, I like how it came up reverse. And actually, I'm hearing, wow, you can really dance. So if you're into like TikTok or any of those like short reels, that's kind of my jam. But anyways, I'm going to say with the 5 of Cups reverse, let's just get in here. There's a lot going on. You would be described, they would describe you to a stranger as somebody who maybe perhaps you're a little bit macabre. Maybe perhaps you like things like ghost hunting. You could be going into like haunted houses and so on and so forth. But pile number 2, I really feel like with this 5 of Cups reverse is that you are no longer mourning. You're no longer mourning things that are gone. With the 5 of Cups upright, this is experiencing a blow. People like to call it disappointment, but I feel like when you're mourning, this to me is like a mourning card. You're like grieving. You're grieving a time when things were easier, when things were like copacetic, when it was like, let's eat, drink, and be merry. Not necessarily with that kind of a flip attitude, but I feel like you're always, you know, kind of mourning the 3 of Cups, what is long gone, you know, the times that we were close and so on. And I feel like pile number 2, how they would describe you is that you've healed from that. You've healed from mourning. You've healed from looking at the past. You've healed from looking at perhaps metaphorical graveyards where nothing is conducive for you. There's nothing for you there any longer. And so therefore you kind of packed up your Kleenex and packed up your kid and kept it pushing. Pile number 2. They would describe you as someone who draws a lot of attention, whether you know it or not. People will be looking at you. And if you said no, my response to you is, I know you're lying. Because this tells me right here, you have some looky-loos, you have some stalkers, you have some potential suitors. And even though this is just like one zombie, I see another image right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. See it with me right there? So you definitely have, it almost looks like a face of a female, a hand, of course, and then the face of a male right here. You could have a lot of potential suitors that maybe perhaps you've turned your back on, or that you are simply not entertaining. And this is how you would be described to a stranger. So pile number 2, let me know what your thoughts are. Again, thank you so much for your time. Much love to you guys. Until next time, namaste. Hi friends, my name is Griselle with Toughdolltarot, and I'm here to do your reading. Pile number 3, you chose this lovely image on the right hand side of your screen, and your downloads go as follows. How would people describe you to a stranger? Pile number 3, first of all, I'm hearing looks are deceiving. Now, nothing wrong with your looks at all, but I feel, pile number 3, that they would say this because your exterior does not match your interior. In fact, I was told that once, but that's a side note. Pile number 3, I also feel like you could love monochromatic things. You could love like monochrome, dress in ombres, or you can have ombre hair. You could really like nails that are very natural or natural looking or earth tony, that kind of a vibe. They would describe you as maybe perhaps being very fair skinned, very intriguing to look at, very alluring as well. They would also describe you as having noteworthy hair. Now, why it comes across that way, I feel like it would be that they would just mention your hair, the style, the color, the shape of it. They're definitely going to mention your hair, and you could have hair on the lighter side. This could be because maybe you dyed it or had it done this way, or, you know, maybe you have silver gray hair I mean, we're here for it. So regardless, we're going to find out a little bit more. Pile number 3 on how people would describe you to a stranger. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the channel. Pile number 3. I really appreciate your time and energy here. Pile number 3, how would people describe you to a stranger? Yeah. You have the Sun. And you have the Page of Pentacles. Now, out of this particular deck, I really do feel like those two are my top 5 favorite cards. Not that it matters, but pile number 3, I'm just going to say, look at this beautiful creature. Is it a mountain lion? I think so. Pointing directly at the sun. It is incredibly beautiful. I'm going to say that people describe you as being incredibly beautiful, maybe even agile, deceptively relaxed. You have an incredibly agile mind. Maybe perhaps you are very spry as well, right? Pile number 3 with the Page of Pentacles right here. I'm just checking out this octopus. Is it octopi? Octopus is just one. I'm not sure. Anyways, the Page of Pentacles right here is typically like being very careful in what we deposit time, energy, and effort into. And I feel like with the Sun card, I'm jumping back and forth, am I? Yes. Pile number 3, I feel like what would be said about you is that you have an incredible, impeccable reputation, that you are not one to be trifled with as well. I feel like you have a lot of admirers with the stars right here, plus the sun. I mean, everybody admires the star because we all basically revolve around the sun. In that same way, in the same mindset, they would describe you to a stranger as people revolving around you. Now, I feel like this is a magnetic pull. The sun isn't like, hey, you guys are not following me. You need to like come here. It doesn't really care. It's just going to do its thing. And I feel like that's you. You kind of do your thing. Also, yeah, you're deceptively still. Sometimes you could like really just observe things around you. And then all of a sudden you quote, go in for the kill. Pile number 3, I feel like that would be more like you can just sum up a person in a few seconds or a few minutes within like meeting a person. And yeah, so they would say, do not mess or try to punk with pile number 3. Don't try to punk them because you're going to lose. You're going to be left floundering. You're going to be left floundering. You're going to be left like as the one that wants to deposit 25 cents in this tank. And this mountain lion is going to be like, that's all you got, 25 cents? How about if I take a couple of your tentacles as barter? So pile number 3, I'm going to say that how they would describe you is that you suffer no fools, that you make quick and accurate assessments. I'm also going to say that they would describe you as somebody who leaves people floundering. When people come upon your presence, and yeah, that's how I just heard it right now. When people come upon your presence, they feel like they're inadequate. They feel like they have to have like a lot going on. They feel like they could have fumbled you when they just step forward to say hello. I mean, that's how flustered people get. People also, because I'm looking at the line of demarcation, the color right here. So this is like green, presumably because the octopus has been struggling, trying to figure out like how to look impressive to you. Then you have the blue in front. And I feel like people get really flustered. They can cause a lot of fuss in your energy. And pile number 3, people would describe you to strangers as being someone who catches others unaware. Also, like you make people feel young. You make people feel like a teen or like a kid, regardless of what your age is. And that you actually want to be like showing up solid for pile number 3. Like they want to show up solid for you, that they're gonna wanna, okay? Gonna wanna, that's something. But look at how this octopus is like cuddling this coin. It's like people want to offer their best. They want to put their best foot forward because they know that they only have one chance to make an impression. And it better damn well be a good one. Pile number 3. How would people describe you to a stranger? With the 9 of Swords. And the Queen of Wands. Well, I'm just going to say pile number 3, that once again, you spark fear in people. And, you know, instead of the Queen of Wands, you come across as like very fiery. Like people are going to describe you as being somebody who's very fiery, very prominent. You know how to strategically move. You could move with cat-like grace. You could move with cat-like stealth. You could have a deep connection to birds and ravens. You could love to bake in the sun. I'm not going to form a judgment there. Y'all are grown-ups. You can know what to do with that. But pile number 3, I feel like people would describe you as definitely having a lot of people doting on you. A lot of doters, a lot of admirers. And that you're not somebody who you're not worried about like, oh, I'm the lead or I'm the queen bee or anything. You're just going to continue being you wherever you go. Now, for my guys out there, I'm just going to say that the same principle applies, that you could be quite stoic, that you could be a little bit introverted, or I think it's called ambivert. I think I've been saying it wrong the whole time, but whatevs. You guys know what I'm talking about. So you guys could be perceived as being extroverted if you need to. Like you're going to handle business. You're going to go ahead and deal with the Page of Pentacles floundering back here. And I feel like pile number 3 also, in spite of being as intimidating as you are, you would be described as being extremely kind to strangers. So it would be like, don't get too flustered around pile number 3, you know, and it's not at all, their bark is much worse than their bite. Not at all. Because your bite's going to be hurting, okay? Your bite would, even your bark would cause extreme anxiety and people would think about it for days afterwards. But that also, pile number 3, that you're a fierce protector, okay? But for my guys, you could be really like on the muscular, on the lean side. You could be even looking wiry, but the minute like somebody kind of grabs your arm or something, it's like you're incredibly strong, okay? And you could move once again with agility that is surprising when you want to. So something about being an incredible protector. You can come up in people's dreams, or when people go to sleep at night or lay down at night, they're definitely thinking about you, especially when they first meet you, okay? So you have a profound impact on others. Now, pile number 3, how would people describe you to a stranger? You have the 6 of Cups. And you have the World. So, pile number 3, let's get in here. People describe you to strangers as being someone that they have a real fondness for. Like, they would describe you as somebody who feels almost like they've met you before, or they have a soul contract with you, or almost like they've known you from childhood. And in a strange way, as powerful and as strong, as intimidating as you can be, once you get in, you're in. So pile number 3, it's almost like you have to like prove. You would be described to a stranger as that they have to prove that they are worthy. But I feel like the worthiness isn't like you have to prove you're good enough. You have to prove that you're like a good person, or that you're part of the tribe, part of the family, in whatever way that looks to you. It could be part of your work family, part of your family, or the tribe in general, whoever you hang out with. But also, pile number 3, that you have a great reputation on the World Wide Web, and that you are the World Wide Web sweetheart in some ways, okay? So people like with the 6 of Cups, this is about, yes, reminiscing. This is about feeling those good feelings, those innocent feelings of why I feel really close to this person and that kind of a thing. It could be a little bit of like reminiscing. So people feel nostalgic, yeah. People feel nostalgic, and it's almost like it sets their world on fire. People would describe you to a stranger as being someone who really changes the way that they perceive the world. And I feel like that's really powerful. Pile number 3, people would describe you to a stranger as being someone who is all of these things. People love to watch you walk, by the way. But also perhaps that maybe you are a conspiracy theorist, which, by the way, I resemble that remark. So I don't feel like that's slander or negative at all, especially when it continues being proven time and time again that those quote theories and conspiracy theories wind up being real. It's a thing. So pile number 3, yeah, we see the world on fire, and yet we see deep romance underneath. So people could be set aflame by you. You could be described as somebody who is incredibly desirable, incredibly cat-like, very stealthy, very, I heard erotic, but okay, I guess we're going there, pile number 3. You took it here, by the way. So pile number 3, if you're liking these kind of readings, do give me a like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell in order to get more notifications for this channel. And please do double check the channels that you like, any channels, even if you don't do this one, of course. Otherwise, you will not get their notifications. Pile number 3. So how would they describe you to a stranger? You have the Death card, and you have the Ace of Swords. Now, this combination is so powerful. Hear me out. The Death card, I feel like this is really talking about, again, setting people's worlds on fire. You set people's world on fire. I feel like pile number 3, what they would say about you is that once you meet pile number 3, you will never be the same again. And I don't say this lightly. With the Death card, this is an absolute transformation. Like, if people spend any time at all with you, they are instantly transformed. I feel like part of them, I feel like you kind of launch people. You could be the walking tower. You could be somebody who really is a catalyst for someone to go into like the dark night of the soul in a good way. Woo, excuse me. And how that's good and why it's good. Pile number 3 is because you serve to wake people up, and I feel like you serve them a good platter of the cold hard truth. I feel like you're on the mark. I feel like you make no bones about it. And I don't think that your motive is to like shatter people or bother them or upset people. But I feel like your mere presence causes like a chain reaction. And once again, you become a catalyst to their higher learning, to their glow up, to their show up, to their step up. With the number 13, I feel like this, in this case, is representing ego. And I feel like you really help people to overcome, or at least begin that journey of overcoming ego. That, yeah, it's nice to be liked, and it's nice to be looked at, and it's nice to be well thought of. But really, what's beyond that? What's beyond the cologne? What is beyond the muscles? What is beyond the sinew? What is beyond that forehead? I'm just kidding. What's beyond that forehead of yours, pile number 3? Pile number 3, how they would describe you to a stranger is that there's so much more than meets the eye. And believe me, we like what meets the eye with pile number 3. But the fact that you have depth makes you a weapon of mass destruction. And I feel like relationships get shook, people get shook, eyes get wide open, right? And again, this is, I don't feel like you have a lot of kid gloves. You're not going to pansy around and go, well, you know, actually, you're not going to be like, no, this is how it is. And, you know, if you ask me a question, you're going to get the answer. And if you get mad because I gave you a cut and dry answer, well, do you want me to paint it with like a red bullseye? Do you want me to decorate it? Do you want me to put a mistletoe on top of it and then kiss me under it? I mean, what are we doing here? So pile number 3, you could be somebody who is slow to speak because you feel like sometimes the words, especially the way people tend to use them excessively, words are prized, and I feel like when you do speak, people absolutely listen. I feel like in a lot of ways, even inadvertently, you can actually yank people's rugs under their feet, and they're left a little bit like, whoa, I had no idea. So this one just jumped out. I'm going to take it. It jumped out on my other cards and it landed sideways. Yeah, well, that makes sense to me. Pile number 3, you have the 3 of Pentacles. It jumped out and we have all of these animals like staring, right? This could be game, this could be hunting, this could be cooperation, this could be business, but it landed sideways. And I'm going to say pile number 3, that how they would describe you to a stranger is that sometimes you may cooperate or you may not. You may want to be on board, you may not. You might want to be a team player and you may not. Keep in mind that these cats usually, at least the mamas, I think they hunt alone. Now, I won't swear to that, and I got to think back to my facts. But I'm going to say that really wolves are known to be, there's a term for lone wolf, even though they do have packs. So they have, the term lone wolf for a reason. And I feel like you have many eyes on you. So a lot of times people just don't really know if you're going to cooperate and go with the narrative, or if you're going to be like, actually, that's not accurate. And this is why. And if you're going to spit facts. Okay. So sometimes people would describe you as being someone who could be a little bit icy, like they don't really know what is going on underneath, and they don't know exactly how to get you to cooperate and how to put you in a better aspect, if you will, for themselves. Okay, so they would say, for example, pile number 3, Mr. Stranger and Miss Stranger, you want to be careful with them. We don't know if they're going to go with the narrative, if they're going to toe the line, if they're going to do exactly how you say it, because they may not agree. And so sometimes it's a gamble. Now, I do feel like people try to find out what it is that your personal belief system is, or what your spirituality is, or whatever it is that you have a baseline for, because I definitely feel like you have a baseline. But I don't feel like it's necessarily like playing nice. I feel like you're okay with hunting alone. You might be okay with hunting as a pack if you need to, but it really depends. Are you training the other wolves, the baby wolves, how to hunt properly? We don't know. So once again, the 3 of Pentacles leaves people feeling on edge. And heck, I'm here for it. Now, pile number 3, last thing that I'm getting for thee is that you are definitely a mover and a shaker. With the Queen of Wands right here, regardless if you're male or female, because we strictly read energy, is that you are somebody who is incredibly passionate about whatever it is that you're passionate about, right? A little bit redundant, yes, I know. But the Queen of Wands is all about her excitement, or his excitement, or their desire of what it is that they're going to do. And that you could have several businesses, or you could have a job and a side gig, or a side gig and a channel, or a job and a side gig and a channel and clients. I don't know what you have going on. I just gave you my examples because I'm super tired and I can't think of anything else. But that's what I have for you. Much, much love to you. Until next time, namaste.